Tonight, as Ken Griffey Jr. gave Cincinnati an early Valentine, there were a lot of people standing around behind him who acted like they actually did something to bring him here. And lost in the throng of wannabes was the key man behind this deal, Griffey's agent, Cincinnatian Brian Goldberg. In his downtown office, Goldberg has a framed picture of the day Ken Jr. was drafted by Seattle.
What goes through your mind when you think back to that day?
Probably the thing that because this was the first big thing I had done baseball-wise, I was so glad that Senior was there.
Goldberg is no Jerry Maguire. He is soft-spoken, humble, and gives the Griffeys credit for everything he has accomplished, even the day after pulling off the deal of the century.
It feels good that people pat you on the back and you know, are glad about that, especially because I live in this town. But the main thing is it made him happy. That's the key to this thing, is it made him happy.
If you really like the Ken Griffey Jr. story, wait till you hear the Brian Goldberg story. It's even better. This is a guy who stumbled into sports agency about 22 years ago. That was his freshman year in college when he showed up for his first day of his Intro to Communications class. Who was in the class? Ken Griffey Sr. They met and quickly became friends. They remained friends, and after law school, Griffey hired Goldberg as an agent and steered some other young players his way.
I think the key was I never asked him for anything. I never used to ask him for tickets or autographs or things like that. So after a few months, I think he perceived me as somebody that was really a friend.
They remain friends, and the relationship is all about friendship, showing his clients the respect, not the money. Goldberg openly acknowledges he owes his career to the Griffeys, and it may not end with Junior's Reds contract. Goldberg says he's already got his eye on a talented young prospect named Trey Griffey.